You are listening to the CADDle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CADDle Call podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CADDle Call podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, your fun host, and with me, as always, is my partner,
the more fun host.
More fun? You're not fun. You know what makes people fun?
What?
The engineering joke of the week. That's what would make you fun. But since you don't tell it, I get to be the fun host. All right, you ready? Here we go. Engineering joke of the week, Rocco. What is the definition of an engineer?
Didn't you give us this one before?
It's a different answer this time, though. What's the definition? Any clue?
I don't know. What's the definition?
So, an engineer is a person who measures with a micrometer, marks it with a crayon, cuts it with an axe, and then hammers it to fit. There you go. Play a little put-on-funk song. Yeah. Oh, come on. You ever work with engineers? That's how they do everything. All right. Hey, listen, I must be an engineer. That's pretty much how I do things, too. All right, folks. So just a few weeks ago, Bluebeam, which is one of my favorite software systems in the whole world, they announced the release of Bluebeam Review version 21. And now, since, we do a ton of work with Bluebeam here at Zentech, and I know that almost all of our listeners use it, I figured talking about the new release would be a good topic for today's show. We're going to talk about the general changes to the product, right, including licensing models and names and prices. But primarily, I want to focus on an entirely new set of features in review called Bluebeam Cloud. And some of you may know it by its beta name of Project Rover, but Bluebeam Cloud is the formal release and integration into your standard review licenses, right? And it's targeted almost 100% at the construction field. And that makes sense, right? Since it's close to 90% of construction firms in the U.S. are using Bluebeam every day. So we're going to talk about all the new construction-based features. But first, I want to get into some of the basic product licensing changes, right? And that's where we're going to wake up Rocco from his nap. All right, so Rocco, for starters, right, the old naming conventions of the three review offerings have been dropped and replaced with entirely new product lines, right? So what are those and what's included or what's not included in each of those new packages?
Yeah, where you used to have Bluebeam Standard, CAD, and Complete and Extreme, now you have Bluebeam Basics, Core, and Complete. So Basics, Core, and Complete. And it's on an annual structure now. That's the only way you can get access to Bluebeam. And Basics is about basic markup functionality, sign and seal capabilities. Core is more in line with what most folks are going to be using Bluebeam for. More the takeoff and estimating, the specialty markups. Areas of Bluebeam, and then you move up to Complete, which is pretty much in line with the old Extreme version, and that's the advanced reporting, the quantity linking capabilities, the batch linking and batch sign and seal capabilities. So it's not 100% comparison, standard CAD and Extreme to Basic, Core, and Complete. But it's close. It's close. So that's a quick summary. Of course, all the details are on our website and on the Bluebeam website if you want to see the functionality in action, or you could always reach out to us.
There you go. All right. So like Rocco was saying, right, the other really big change in this release of Bluebeam Review, it is their full-scale conversion to strictly annual subscription licensing and the removal of perpetual licensing options from the Bluebeam catalog. Now, look, I get it. I can already hear the collective groan out there from every listener, and I can't say that I disagree. You guys all know that I take a pretty dim view of the subscription model, but it really just seems to be a fact of modern software sales. There are very few companies out there still offering perpetual licenses, because the subscription model offers them, set recurring income year over year that makes running their businesses a lot easier and much more profitable. So, can you really blame them? Now, in general, I do agree that profit comes kind of unfairly at our expense. But I will say that at least Bluebeam's offering one benefit to us with this move, right, in their annual subscriptions, and that is user-based licensing instead of system-based licensing. So Rocco, what exactly is the difference there, and how does it benefit listeners?
Yeah, I mean, the user-based, I can't tell you how many folks, in the years past have, they install it on their desktop and then they install it on their laptop, and that's two separate licenses that they have to buy. So now I think it's up to, you can install Bluebeam on up to 5 devices, and you have your own Bluebeam ID that you log in and basically access Bluebeam. And Jim, you can expand on how all that works from a technical background, but I mean, that's how it works now. And I thought people were really gonna have a hard time with it, but people are accepting it, and maybe it's because every other software out there has moved to the cloud and annual model, that they just knew it was a matter of time, but they're accepting it pretty well, and the cost. I mean, we'll get into the cost, but they accept that as well. I mean, they don't think that it's an extremely expensive cost. The hard part is getting from A to B, getting from perpetual licenses to annual licenses. And I've had a lot of headaches over the past month and a half or so, just dealing with Bluebeam on the back end and helping customers migrate, because it hasn't been so clear. But overall, I think folks are accepting the change, and they're pretty excited about it. I had a customer just yesterday, actually. I asked him how they're doing with the trial, and he said his team loves it. Nice. So I was glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool little upgrade, particularly, like I said, we're going to talk about Bluebeam Cloud. But just kind of cap off on the, those licenses with the annual subscription. Basically, to simplify it, the way I explain it to folks when I'm talking to them is you can log in on any system, anywhere, anytime that has Bluebeam on it. Doesn't matter, right? It's no longer tied to a single laptop. You can go install it on 10 different systems and then just log in. Right? You're just using, the license is pulled when you log into their subscription system. So it works out pretty nicely. So I'll give them that one. All right. So, the other big question, like Rocco was saying, is going to be the pricing, right? That's what we all want to know. Everybody out there using Bluebeam wants to know, what is this new subscription model going to cost them? And is it worth it to move forward with a subscription, or to just try and hold on to their current perpetual license until it becomes completely defunct and unusable? I'll let Rocco address the actual costs in just a minute, but I will say to everybody listening that, while I get that paying annual licenses, it's a frustrating pain in the butt, I do think that the benefits of Bluebeam Review, right, particularly with this new incorporation of Bluebeam Cloud, it does make it worthwhile. At the end of the day, even with a recurring subscription model, Bluebeam is still far and away the least expensive software of this type on the market, particularly with the immense amount of functionality that it does bring to the table for us. I think when we get into talking about Bluebeam Cloud in the second half of this show, you guys are all gonna kind of give the resigned sigh and say, "Oh, fine, I'll pay it, but I won't like it." That's the kind of answer, right? And you're going to do that just to be sure that you have access to this new Bluebeam Cloud, which I think is going to be a huge, huge benefit to a lot of the folks listening today. All right, so Rocco, so give us the bad news, right? What is the financial damage we're all going to take from the new subscriptions on these new review versions?
Well, like I said, it's not so bad. I mean, Basics runs $240 a year, Core runs $300 a year, and Complete runs $400 a year. And this is a per user cost. And what I will say is that there's tons of Bluebeam users out there, and here at Zentech, we're happy to work with you guys to kind of prorate your licenses so that you don't have 10, 20 different contracts expiring during the course of a year. You can prorate it and really try to join everything so that everything expires on one date, if that makes sense. Migrating, there are no longer upgrades available. So if you're using perpetual licenses right now, there's no way to upgrade what you've got. If you are on annual maintenance with perpetual licenses, you could still add new Bluebeam V20 licenses, but not V21 licenses. So I told you it's kind of complex, and it's a little complex.
Yeah. Hey, poor Rocco's been going nuts trying to figure all this out. And look, I will say that honestly, I don't think those prices are bad at all when for the functionality that you get out of Bluebeam. The cost is about the same as what you guys have paid for review in the past, but now it's got to be paid annually, right? Which I know adds up to more over a couple of years. But the hope is that the new tools and the new features make that small investment every year worth it. And I think Bluebeam Cloud, right, which is the big initial add to V21, it certainly makes it worth the move, right? Bluebeam Cloud is a fully functional construction project management system that is simple enough for anybody to use, and you get it right on top of the review tools that you already own and use every day. When you consider you're paying, a couple $100 a year for that versus the tens of thousands you'd pay annually for one of the big project management systems, it seems like it's really worth it to me. All right, so I tell you what, we'll take a break here, and when we get back, I want to focus on that new functionality that we have in Bluebeam Cloud. All right, so stand by, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the CADDle Call podcast.
All right, everybody. Today's CADDle Call podcast is being brought to you guys by Zentech. We want to talk to you guys today about our Zen Estimate tools, a little bit of software that we've developed here in-house and we have for you guys. The Zen Estimate tools run on top of your existing Bluebeam review system, right, which is the leading takeoff and estimating software out there today. And it provides you with all the estimating tools that you guys need for fast, accurate, and consistent quantity takeoff and estimating. Zen Estimate tools for Bluebeam Review can save you hundreds, if not thousands, of man-hours on every one of your projects and help you guys provide consistent output and results across your entire company. So, Rocco, why don't you tell us what we got in the Zen Estimate tools and how folks can find them?
Yeah, we've currently got a set for structural steel work and a set for HVAC work, and there's others in development. So you have to hit up our website and stay in tune with us, zentechconsultants.net. You can actually purchase them off of our e-store, or if you want to reach out to me, I'd be happy to talk to you. Drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net. Give us a ring, 866-824-4459. Or I think that's about it, right?
Yeah. Hey, the only other thing then is there are plenty of videos on how they all work and what you can do with the Zen Estimate tools on our website. Zen Estimate tools, folks, you're going to love them. I developed them myself. I'm telling you, they're awesome.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CADDle Call podcast. We're talking today about the release of Bluebeam Review V21. And as promised, in this half of the show, we're going to focus on Bluebeam Cloud, right, which is the new construction-focused offering from Bluebeam that comes with every subscription. There's no additional purchases, no fees required. Everybody gets this. So what exactly is this Bluebeam Cloud? Well, it's a cloud-based, lightweight construction project management system that's meant to address the daily operating needs of smaller GCs and subcontractors. Now, you look, when I say lightweight, I don't mean that Bluebeam Cloud isn't powerful. I mean that it's focused on doing a few key items very simply and very well. Look, big project management systems like Procore and Sage and Viewpoint, they are great systems, but they're very expensive, and they try to handle every aspect of a very complicated world in construction management, right? And that makes them difficult to learn and to effectively use on smaller jobs. And Bluebeam Cloud is taking a different approach to this. They've chosen to focus on simplifying the most common tasks that construction firms need to work with and struggle to control every day, right? Things like, RFIs and submittals and punch lists and drawing markups and communications. All of these items are automated and structured, and responses to each one of them are tracked and recorded directly in Bluebeam Cloud, right? And they're integrated right into the PDF construction document set using the review tools we've all learned to love over the years, right? So it's a great concept. Rocco, we've started doing a bunch of webinars and presentations and demos for people on Bluebeam Cloud. What's kind of been the feedback and the response to it so far when we show it to construction folks?
Yeah, people like it. I mean, it's this is fresh. It's hasn't been out for too long, but folks are looking forward to using it, and I think Bluebeam's got it right. I mean, there's a market, there's a need out there for this kind of functionality. So
yeah,
a lot of folks are looking forward to it.
Good. All right, so let's start by talking about the markup and communication side of Bluebeam Cloud. The idea is that you can upload PDF drawings from literally any source, right? From your local drive, from your in-house servers, from Bluebeam Studio, if you guys are using that, from SharePoint or Google Drive, literally anywhere. And you can upload those files right into Cloud, right, and have the full set of review markup tools, right, available for use right inside your web browser. Okay, and like we were saying earlier, it means that with the new licensing, you can log in from any machine, anywhere, anytime, even, this I want to stress, even one that doesn't have review installed, and you can mark up and review your files. Okay, that also means that you can access your files from your mobile phone, from your iPad, from your Android, or any other tablet, right? Which you were not able to do when it's in the standalone version. And that also means, right, that as part of the Bluebeam Cloud markup tools, you can communicate about specific markups right inside your browser on any device. There's an entire discussions side panel where you can leave comments and other people can reply back, and everybody gets notifications when a comment's been directed at them, things like that. Project creators, right? Those of us who build the jobs in cloud, we can get automated notifications for when, files are accessed and edited, right? Which is really nice. One other important addition to this Bluebeam Cloud is the concept of what they're calling tool chests anywhere. And it lets you send the tool chests and the sets that you've built in your desktop version of Review right to the Bluebeam Cloud, right? So that you have the same functionality on your mobile phone, say, as you do on your desktop. Here I will point out one limitation here, though, and it's that only true, we'll call it quote-unquote markup-based tools like lines, rectangles, text, etc. Right now, those are the only things that can be transferred in this first release of Bluebeam Cloud. I am very hopeful that they're going to expand this out for full tools access in future releases, because that will be a big game changer, right? Once folks can get all of the estimating tools and the advanced features out into Bluebeam Cloud. Rocco, are a lot of people recognizing the benefits of having a cloud-based, centralized markup and communication tool for everybody on the job?
Yeah, I think it's early yet. I don't think that enough people have seen it and realized the true benefits. I mean, this functionality is yeah, I think it's going to bring folks in construction to a whole new level, of what they can do. I mean, we have tons, obviously not just us, but there's tons of folks using Bluebeam from your small, two-person GCs up to your larger, very, very big firm. And so this is functionality that everybody could take advantage of now, at a very affordable rate. And so it's new, but I see everybody jumping on it very quickly.
Yeah, like I said, I see it being very focused for the smaller guys, but honestly, those large corporations, they can also make use of this because it works out wonderfully on smaller jobs. So it's a place where big GCs struggle. They have processes built in place for these, mega jobs. But when you're dealing with the local McDonald's down the street, they're like, oh yeah, we'll do it, we'll build it, but controlling it the same way is just not cost effective. And that's where I think the cloud here, the Bluebeam Cloud, is really going to come in and change things. All right, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about here today is it's about the RFI, or the request for information process. When there is a question about some inconsistency between your design documents or your specs and what actually needs to happen in the real world, right? We all have to submit RFIs to get clarification, right? It's something that we do every single day in the construction world. But tracking what questions were sent, right? And when did we send them, and who did we send it to, and who replied to it, and what was the answer? It can be a very confusing, error-prone, and time-consuming process, right? We all struggle with it. And look, that doesn't even include what happens when there are back and forth discussions over alternative options to resolve that RFI. There can be hundreds, thousands of emails back and forth. And we can easily spend half of our work week just fighting our way through piles of RFIs on a job. Bluebeam Cloud lets you click one button, fill out an RFI form, select who to send it to right from the field on any device that you happen to be carrying. And Bluebeam Cloud tracks the date, the time, the responses. It sends reminders and updates, and it keeps a record of all communications related to your RFI in this one spot inside Bluebeam Cloud. And not only that, right? And I love this. Once the RFI has been answered, you got your response back, you can just go click and drop an RFI marker right onto the corresponding location in your plan set, so that later on, anyone can just click on it to see what the results were from every RFI right in place as your job progresses. It's a real simple process that probably takes less than a minute to create, and it makes it far more usable for most of those small and medium-sized firms over what you have to go through some of those large, cumbersome ERP project management software systems that we talked about earlier. Rocco, are you seeing a different response when we show Bluebeam Cloud? Are you getting a different response between the large GCs versus small GCs?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I was saying before, I think that the smaller guys have been, they're excited to see this kind of capability, and that it's within reach for them, right? I mean, they can afford it, and so they're looking forward to using it. So, I mean, like I said, if you compare the cost of Bluebeam, the annual cost of Bluebeam, versus some of the other big competitors out there, it's not bad.
Yeah,
We
not
all know
bad at
how
all.
much we pay for annual software. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of those big project management systems, they can cost literally some of them hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. It's crazy. All right, so another item that's kind of been incorporated into the Bluebeam Cloud, it's the ability to add and track submittals. Right? And submittals are a variety of specs and cut sheets and parts lists and drawings that kind of tell the designer and the owner and so on exactly what materials and parts are going to be used for a given project by each subcontractor. And you know, this requires, you know, review and approval from all those GCs, designers, owners, and there is just a ton of back and forth on the specifics of, you know, materials and finishes and manufacturers and colors, right, for every item that's going to be put in on a construction job. You know, you can think of submittals, if you're not familiar, as an RFI on steroids. You know, you have all the same general tracking concepts and problems, but it's 10 times as large and 100 times more cumbersome to deal with. It's a communication control nightmare for most of us, right? Bluebeam Cloud has taken the same approach here that they did with RFIs, right? They made it a simple, linear, automated tracking and response process right inside the Bluebeam Cloud platform. They've even integrated the ability for you to import your submittals in bulk, right? You can spell them all out in an Excel template. Right? In this way, right, if you still have subs who don't, you know, for some reason, want to log in, you know, and do their submittals through your Bluebeam account, you can just list them all out in Excel if you get them emailed or whatever, and import it all in one step into Bluebeam Cloud for your own use. And, you know, you can link those submittals to your cost codes and spec sections and control notifications, right? Just like in the RFI piece that we talked about earlier. So I think it's huge. Rocco, what do you think? I mean, how important is the ability to work with, we'll call it simpler project management tools to our construction clients, right? Is this a, you know, overall a big thing on their priority list?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's again, it's within its functionality that's reasonably within reach. You know, if you think of Procore, right? I mean, Procore is just so hugely complex, and we're Procore consultants, right? We can certainly help you set up and train and configure Procore, but it's meant for the bigger guys, you know. Having this functionality is available for the smaller guys within reach, and it's not impossible to learn either. And we can help with the training is big.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no doubt. It is a pretty simple process. It's one of those things that most, you know, even those of you out there who are like, hey, I'm great at construction, not so much with the tech, believe me, you're not going to have a hard time with this at all. It's pretty simple. Rocco's absolutely right on that. All right, so, you know, the other thing I want to talk about here is that Bluebeam Cloud also has an entire punch list walkthrough process, depending on how you guys name it, and it's built right in, right? And that ties directly into your construction documents. So you can create detailed punch items with attached photos and notes, and you can submit those to the responsible parties, and you can track all the back and forth, just like we talked about with the other Bluebeam Cloud tools. You can even go right to the location of the issue on the plans and just drop a symbol onto the drawing that is automatically linked to that punch item, right? With a single mouse click. You just click and drop a symbol, it's linked. And when the punch item has been resolved, it's done, it was fixed, all you have to do is just mark it as complete. Just a single click, just a little checkbox, and it gets submitted back to the punch item's creator for approval. And the symbols on the plan are grayed out to show that they've been done, right? Which is nice because they stay there, which means you can always go back and they can be clicked on to open up the original punch item for reference. It really is. It's a remarkably easy process to help us control what has always been a coordination struggle on our construction jobs. And in that line, right, one last thing that I want to throw out before we wrap up here today is that Bluebeam Cloud has incorporated an integration with Google Maps to geolocate your construction PDFs right into real-world spaces. You can go into Bluebeam Cloud, you can pick on any drawing, and there's a tab there that just says Map View. And it just lets you, it switches over to Google Earth, and it lets you actually drag and drop your building PDFs. They just come in as like a little icon at the correct size and scale, and you can drop them right onto Google Earth and rotate them around so they line up. So you can align all of your buildings in Google Maps or in Google Earth as hyperlinked images right onto their real-world geolocated positions for reference, right? Which is really, it's an amazing tool when you're doing larger jobs that have multiple buildings, multiple structures, or if you're doing exterior and civil work and you want to add punch items outside the buildings, things. Yeah, I think it's amazing. It's got so much functionality built into Bluebeam Cloud. Right? And I think we can wrap it up here because I think we've kind of hopefully given you guys a good idea of the capacity of Bluebeam Cloud, right? So we'll kind of wrap it up here for today because we're going over time, but I definitely think we will be talking more about Bluebeam Cloud in upcoming episodes. Rocco will make sure I do, right, Rocco?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we're going to get out of here, and we will catch you next time on the CADDle Call podcast.
All right, everybody, today's CADDle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.